Viewers, welcome back to the show. हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे डेमोक्रेसी इज द बेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट. क्वेश्चन अभी तक अपनी जगह पे कायम है. आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट ऑल ऑफ यू टू गो ऑन टू द ट्विटर and vote for the poll. We have started there. End of the show we'll tell you who is the winner. सेकेंडली हमारे पास डॉक्टर हुसैन कॉल पे थे. उनका क्वेश्चन था कि वेस्ट में डेमोक्रेसी है, ईस्ट में नहीं है. ये मैं पैनल को सवाल पूछूंगा एंड लेट्स सी व्हाट आवर पैनल्स व्यू ऑन दिस इज. स्टार्टिंग विद यू रिद्धि, व्हाट्स द रीजन व्हाई देयर इज वी थिंक दैट देयर इज लेस डेमोक्रेसी इन द ईस्टर्न हेमिस्फीयर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड और वेस्ट में हमें ज़्यादा डेमोक्रेसी मिलती है?
I think it also depends there on the views of the public. And in India, the people are a lot more forthcoming than what they are in London, for example.
But it's not the protest, it's the democratic values.
It's the democratic
because
values,
जहाँ पे वो कहते हैं we are more stable in democracy than countries like Nepal, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, that we've got less of that democratic values. That's what I think he's trying to pass basically.
But we've also got to look at how effective the whole system is running. And at the moment, the way that things are going, it looks like India is heading towards that whole state away from democracy, and it seems to be working very well for them because the people seem to be a lot more forthcoming. They seem to be on the agendas a lot more and a lot more aware of what's going on in the country. They're having a bigger voice to be able to stand up for what they believe in, and that is a real pinnacle for India, and that's why the East is actually moving ahead a lot more effectively than what the West is.
Okay, we've got a caller online. Mr. Arslan, what's your question?
Hello, hi. I'm watching your show and I'm just guys accept the job. And my question was that when we vote, like even in Asia or even over here in Europe and stuff, we vote for parties and there is no competition among people for voting for the best. Like you mentioned that people vote for their own caste and their own constituency and for their own good or for their own little benefit. But like as a whole, I have never seen people actually competing that I'm voting for this one for he's best. They just vote for the parties or where they have voted before. So it's just like carrying on like that. People are not educated to vote for the best. They always vote for what they are used to voting. Like over here, there are two parties, so they only vote for those two parties. That's it. They never vote on their past record.
Okay, we got your question.
At least in our country.
So
and I had one more suggestion. In order to counter that, why can't we introduce a model where people are elected? They go here and there, like if I'm elected from some constituency, but I'm forced to serve in some other constituency in another place, so that people can, like, we all elect everybody, but why don't we change their constituency so that they can serve different people instead of serving the people who elected them?
Okay, fine. So your question is like roving parliamentarians who can go around and serve in other constituencies, so they get a flavor of the entire country, as bureaucrats and different private company officials go around and get experience from different. The other question you had was the question of ideas, that we don't vote for ideas and we vote for our own जात पात मजहब और उसकी बेसिस पे वोट करते हैं. ये चीज़ है और उसका आई थिंक इशू हम यहाँ भी देखते हैं. यहाँ भी कई लोग ऐसे लोग हैं जो सिर्फ उस वजह से वोट करते हैं एंड द गुड आइडियाज और दे डोंट वोट फॉर आइडियाज. वो एक चैलेंज है. आई लास्ट सदफ, व्हाट डू यू थिंक इन टर्म्स ऑफ व्हाई पीपल जस्ट कंटिन्यू टू वोट फॉर पीपल लाइक देम बेसिकली?
I think it's a generational issue. I think our mother's generation, they have, been aligned to a certain party for a number of years. They trust them. There's no trust deficit that we experience, millennials. We question whether they are very much have created a framework of thoughts and processes. That's why they vote for a particular party. But with the younger generations, there is I think in a way, voter fatigue as well, because they are not informed. There is no representation of them in politics. That's an issue. Diversity and representation. If we could basically tackled those two areas, I think what we would receive as the populace votes would be remarkable. There is a real issue, especially this week in the news media. There was a question of how much representation is there of ethnic minorities in certain areas in the workforce. You know, do we have to have an issue in current 21st century that we are still discussing
the race and ethnicity.
And diversity.
Yeah, no,
and
no.
I think Riz Khan made a very important point in Parliament when he made that speech.
Yeah.
It's not about representation or diversity. It's just basically look at me, make your voice heard.
Yeah.
You have to get up and join
Join the movement.
Join the movement.
It should be politically more active, basically. Come forward.
There is an activism.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't become politically active until my university years. Before that, I was not at all enthralled to get up.
But there must be not many years between your university years and today. Coming back to, we've got, no, so that's what it looks like. What we have got is a caller. Please go ahead with your question.
Yes, I want to ask about, Churchill said democracy is the worst form of government except for the others. What can you deduce from this?
I think what we can deduce from it is that we have not, as a mankind or a human race, come up with another system which could sort of, give us a better representation of the general masses in the day-to-day running of the government and into the sort of, decision-making process which delivers public services, security, health, education to the people. So I think we are still sort of, as human beings, mumbling our way into finding a system which would deliver to us. So Lani, I'll come back to you, and what do you have to say about this question?
I think we're still evolving. I think as we have a lot of new countries, colonies only finished about 50, 60 years ago. There's a lot of new countries with junior democracies. They're still trying to establish themselves, and I think that we need to sorry, he's just told me to look at that camera, sorry. So I think that we need to allow time for evolution to take place in the world of politics, because the word democracy has a huge umbrella. There's lots of different types of democracy, and I think it's still evolving, so watch this space.
I think we have got another caller. Please go ahead with your question.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah. Hello, we are listening. Thank you for joining the show. Please give your question. Bharat, please give your question.
Hello. Yeah, my question is, hello. My question, democracy is the best form of government, but the democracy is the real democracy, not if the government is not strong, the democracy is not working. So the strong government and the opposition also strong need. That's the democracy.
ठीक है भरत.
That's my question.
भरत भाई, thank you very much for coming on the show. हम आपका ये question लेके अपने viewers के पास, अपने panel के पास जाएंगे. What do you say about this, Bharat's question? कि democracy, not a strong government, cannot deliver.
Yes, democracy to a certain extent is effective, but then to a larger extent it's not effective because it's not really giving the public a chance to have their say. And that is the whole point of having a democracy, is for the public to be able to have their say. And if we go back to Catalonian example, for example, it was a whole case of the act itself being illegal, and that is a case of the government saying you can't vote in this way and we're going to dictate the way that you're going to be voting. So because we've made this illegal, that's why we're now going to be employing the armies with the rubber bullets to disperse the public, because they're already dictating the way that the public should be voting.
What do you think, Saloni? Should we have a democratic vote for Scotland? For independent, or rather that vote should be given to the England to vote whether they want to keep Scotland with them or not.
Because Scotland get free tuition and free prescriptions at our expense. But I think it was Nicola Sturgeon. She said that she was going to wait to see what happens with Brexit before considering another referendum. And if I was in her position, I'd probably say the same thing.
So another democratic vote for the Scottish people.
I think the grievances the Scottish have to be, answered to. Nicola Sturgeon made a very valid point. The British position on the European Union is very weak. We only have, I think it's 4 or 5 days left until we enter negotiations. We don't know where we stand. And as the ruler of the Scottish region, I think Nicola presents the grievances of her population, of her voters, very, very adequately. Theresa May has not really worked for us. That's the issue. And if the Scottish people feel that they want to become independent, they should. There is an argument for it, and if they feel that the best way in terms of having the best public services, the economy, social care, is by becoming independent, so they should. I think the whole point in democracy is having the choice, having the ability to engage and not be scrutinised for dissent, as really clearly pointed out in Spain. It's a very well-established modern European democracy, Spain, but yet they are being very, very heavy-handed with dissent.
I think that's also an issue, because when the larger state wants to keep entire the geographical integrity अपने मुल्क की, इसके लिए देर कुछ स्ट्रगल भी होती है. एंड आई थिंक वो चीज़ हम नज़र आती है इस वक्त स्पेन में, कि वो होती नज़र आ रही है कि जो लार्जर स्टेट है वो चाहती है कि उनका जोग्राफिकल इंटेग्रिटी बरकरार रहे. लेकिन ऑन द कमिंग डाउन टू अनदर इशू इज़ कि बहुत ऐसी कंट्रीज़ हैं जहाँ पे डेमोक्रेसी है लेकिन डेमोक्रेसी इस्टेब्लिश नहीं हो सकी है. मैं समझता हूँ कि हमारी जो रिसर्च टीम है यहाँ पे, और हमने जो इसके ऊपर रिसर्च की इस टॉपिक पे, समझते हैं कि कई कंट्रीज़ हैं जहाँ पे कि जो डेमोक्रेसी है वो एक सिस्टम है, वो एक एनवायरनमेंट में पनप सकता है. वो एनवायरनमेंट एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती, और अगर हम ज़बरदस्ती डेमोक्रेसी वहाँ पे लेकर आएँ तो प्रॉब्ली वो एक बेसिकली पुशबैक होता है, जो कि हम देख रहे हैं कि अमेरिका ने डेमोक्रेसी लाने की कोशिश की इराक में, और पूरा मिडिल ईस्ट इस वक्त जो है एक क्योटिक सिचुएशन में. तो मैं ये समझता हूँ कि जो मल्टीलैटरल एजेंसीज हैं, मे बी वर्ल्ड बैंक, IMF, ये जो कम्युनिटी ऑफ नेशंस हैं हमारी, जो UN, उसको देखना चाहिए कि कौन सी कंट्रीज़ हैं जहाँ ह्यूमन इंडेक्स अच्छा है, जहाँ एजुकेशन अच्छी है, जहाँ पे अकाउंटेबिलिटी है, जहाँ इंस्टीट्यूशन स्ट्रॉन्ग्स हैं. तो जब ये चीज़ें होंगी तो दैट प्रोवाइड्स यू द एनवायरनमेंट कि जहाँ डेमोक्रेटिक वैल्यूज़ पनप सकेंगी और डेमोक्रेसी जो है वो लोगों को डिलीवर कर सकेगी. सो दैट्स वेयर वी आर बेसिकली. व्यूअर्स, थैंक यू फॉर स्पेंडिंग टाइम विद अस. इट्स बीन अ वेरी गुड डिबेट टुडे. एंड पोल का जो रिजल्ट है वो इस वक्त ये है कि लोग जो है वो डेमोक्रेसी में बिलीव करते हैं, और ओवर 60% लोगों ने वोट किया है, बल्कि इनफैक्ट 66% ने वोट किया है कि यस, डेमोक्रेसी इज द बेस्ट form of government. And that's where we leave it today. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's debate and get an insight.